how you win a fantasy football draft in 2025. I am already in this lobby. We are already geared up. And yes, this is Best Ball Mania. This is the largest fantasy football tournament on the planet. I'm sure you've seen this 1,000 times, but just in case there's one person that hasn't, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. $25 entry, about 600,000 entrants, about $15 million in guaranteed prizes. And this is what I'm looking for. We can go through the entire list. Like I said, I got 16th place in this bad boy a couple years back, but I'm going for first this season. Last year, I was messing around. This year, Underdog blesses us with the best fantasy football draft pick that you can get in the year 2025. And yeah, this is how you win it. We are going to be selecting at numero ses. I believe it is numero ses. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for everybody coming out with us. And again, if you did not make it to this live stream, fix your life. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can hang out with us going into the future. But we got a lot of people here, and we are going to get a lot of drafts going tonight. I owe all of y'all a special thank you because my underdog streak is still alive. Anthony says, you got only, do you not, are you kidding me? Anthony, I am the largest OnlyFans creator on the platform. Most people in this live stream found me through OnlyFans. But let's go. Nolan says it's a good day for a big dog. I'm in a phenomenal move. If you can fill a $500 draft, I will get in a big dog draft on this live stream right now. Let me go ahead and enter on my phone, see how many spots we need. Crap. We need 7 spots to fill a $500 fantasy football draft. We are doing a $500 draft later in this stream. We're going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. And yes, honestly, hell, I may have to update this. I'm going to update this title of this live stream. We're going to title this $500 fantasy football draft. Let's go. $500 buy-in fantasy football draft. Bam. We're going 6 spots open in that big dog. This is going to be a good live stream today, ladies and gentlemen. CMC up at pick 8. Obviously, McCaffrey rising up boards dramatically. I would expect that to continue to be the case as time goes on. But let's go. Yeah, the 6 spot's great because what's great about the 6 spot is obviously I love taking Jahmyr Gibbs here, but we're going to get another guy in the second round that I'm also a fan of. Like, I'm sure y'all have heard me say this 1,000 times. Picking at the 2-3 turn is literal hell. You put me at pick 23 and 25. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? All these guys are identical. But at pick 19, we should get an exciting player. And I think at pick 30, that guy is going to be about the same as whoever goes at 23. So I absolutely love pick 5 and pick 6 this year. Really love getting into Gibbs start at pick 7. But not always are you going to see Gibbs fall that far. Floodgate says, I think you infected me. Underdog give me the 11th spot in every single draft. Well, you just got to eat it, my guy. You got to figure it out. The 11th spot here has our damn good start with St. Brown and Nico Collins. Like, if you could start at 11 with St. Brown and Collins, I think that's exciting. But let's move this over. Bowers off the board at 16. Terry McLaurin goes 17. Ooh. We're going to go running back out the gate with Devon Achane as well as Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, of course, once we do this, y'all know the drill. We need to slam wide receivers. We're going to be going wide receiver over the next few rounds. Unless y'all give me something crazy like Josh Jacobs at pick 30. We'll see. But, and of course, for anybody who doesn't know what's going on here, we are in a Best Ball Mania draft. Like I already said, this is the largest fantasy football tournament on the planet. If you're wondering how we do so many of these, they're best balls. So there's no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I'm still able to focus in on the Flock League, my main fantasy football league that I care the most about during the year, because Underdog's automatically going to submit my starting lineup for me at the end of every single week with my highest potential scoring team. So if I took Jahmyr Gibbs here in round 1, and then maybe in round 18, I take Audric Estime, and then in week 3, Jahmyr Gibbs goes down with an injury on the first drive. Audric Estime randomly scores 2 rushing touchdowns. Estime will actually jump Gibbs into my starting lineup. And we're going to be drafting those disgusting players at the end of the draft because it's so deep, so there's no waiver wire either. That's why it's like the best place to get into an extra fantasy football draft and to get some practice for your main fantasy football draft this year. And yeah, of course, if you're not already on Underdog, you can find a link to join and draft with us, or just draft against people in the public lobby with any tournaments you want. I would definitely get in the $3 and $5 tournaments. If you're new, don't immediately jump in the $25 ones. You can find that link in the description, comment section, and live chat. Or also, if you are watching my beautiful face on the TV, you can just scan the QR code as well, which I believe should work. Hopefully it does. But let's see. Omi Josh says, do you like eliminators? I'm in 3 slows right now. Yeah, I've been doing some eliminator drafts off the live stream. I try to keep the Best Ball Mania drafts only to live stream teams, and then the eliminators, that's like, oh, okay, if I'm bored and I want to get in an Underdog draft off the live stream, I hop in an eliminator. Jason says, are there 10-team leagues? I only do 10 teams in my fantasy league. Yes, I believe there are no 10-team tournaments, but you should be able to get into a 10-team private draft. And by private draft, I mean you join a public lobby. But like here, this tournament, obviously it's a $25 buy-in, $2 million for first place, right? So we're also going up against a bunch of other leagues while we draft this. Private draft, it will be like a $3 buy-in, and you go up against just the other 11 people. So it's only like $33 in the prize pool. Mr. Lou Blue says, Vinny definitely picking Burrow for the 4X Bengals stack. Vinny going with Chase, Higgins, and Chase Brown. So in the past, I would have always said, oh, okay, that seems like overkill for me. That seems like maybe it's going to be too tough to pull off. Maybe you cap your ceiling in week 17. But the team that won $1 million+ in Best Ball Mania last year had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, Yoshi Vosh, and Joe Burrow all in the same squad. Drew says, Mason watched your running back video today. In my opinion, your top 5 running backs are looking rough. That's a little rude. Benjamin asking if we play golf. I do not play golf, to be honest. Master says, how do you feel about the fallers with Bowers, McBride, Tyreek, Jonnu, Diggs, and Tootin? Instead of talking about all of them, talk about the elite tight ends. So whenever I first started doing these drafts this offseason, I started right after the NFL draft, right? I know some of y'all sickos were drafting in like January, February, March, April. I wasn't doing it. I started mine right after the NFL draft. Right when I started, I was like, oh, I love Bowers at 16. Ooh, I love McBride in the late second round. They can outscore the wide receivers going in this range. But after I got, I've done 100 drafts at this point, and after I got like 30 or 40 drafts under my belt, I began to realize it's very hard to make an elite tight end build work this year. I like my teams a lot more when I go with running backs and wide receivers early because there are strong tight end values later. So I love like McBride in round 3, I will auto pick any chance I get. And I really like Bowers around the Drake London range. I think Bowers could outscore London this year. But it's tough, in my opinion. It is tough. It is funny that the Jaden Daniels team here at 9 snipes the Terry McLaurin team from getting him. Obviously, we took Rashee Rice. Rice had the great blurb with Patrick Mahomes essentially saying that Rice has no limitations at this point. And like I said, we are just playing catch-up at wide receiver the next few rounds. We are going to take Tet McMillan, a wide receiver prospect that I absolutely love his profile. You go through and you look at the market share numbers that he had in college, they were insane. You combine that with the fact that he's a top 10 NFL draft pick and goes to a team where he can very clearly be the alpha. I love me some McMillan. So I really like what we've been able to do so far through the first 4 rounds in this draft. But typically that's a common thing whenever you get to pick at 6. Picking at 6 is exciting. Okay. Wave says, I'm on Underdog and draft all the time. I want to join a draft with you. Is there anything specific I need to do, or is it just pressing draft at the same time? It's just pressing draft at the same time. So like definitely the best way to do it is just getting the first draft. So if you have the bell hit next to the subscribe button, you can get out here pretty easily. Master says, could Drake May be this year's Jaden Daniels? No, because Drake May can't run the ball nearly as much as Jaden Daniels does. And just in case anybody here is a little newer and was not at the beginning of this stream, I am currently in the lobby for the $500 Big Dog tournament. It's halfway filled. If anybody wants to join with us, go ahead and hop in. Again, if you're new to Underdog, for the love of God, do not get in this draft. Unless you're Elon Musk, unless you're Jeff Bezos. And then I would say if you're watching this live stream, the fact that you haven't bought me a new car yet is a little bit disrespectful, in my opinion. But that's specifically directed at either Elon or Jeff, or honestly Mark, whichever one of y'all three are watching this. So I would love to get Jalen Hurts here. But my thing with that is, again, when we go running back out the gate in these Underdog drafts, I think that we are just very much incentivized to continue to slam wide receiver. And we're going to allow that team at 7 to have a very exciting start, where now they get Jalen Hurts stacked up with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And I will reiterate, in your regular fantasy football league, there'd be no reason for you to ever take Zay Flowers over Jalen Hurts. Like if I'm on the clock in the flock league, I will take Jalen Hurts 10 times out of 10 over Zay Flowers. It's specifically here, I know I'm not going to be able to get another wide receiver that I like after pick 78. So our plan, once we go running back, is just to fill this out with as many of those guys as I can get. Yeah, the team at 7 loves us. They should. Team at 7, if you win the $2 million at this point, you're the one buying me a new car. I'll say that much. Okay. Let's see. Action Kev says Bowers will be the biggest bust this year. Would be surprising. Jimmy has Worthy in 28% of his drafts. Let me see how much I have Worthy in. Because I've drafted a decent amount of Worthy, but nowhere close to 28%. I have Worthy in 18% of my drafts. Now, we have Godwin, Addison, both going. Kittle falls a decent bit in this draft as well. Okay. Floodgate says, how much Tyreek do you have? I hope he returns to 2 years ago because I have way too much. Tyreek, I have 10%. So I'm in line with the market / slightly ahead. Olave off at 64. Stephon Diggs goes 65. This is a big reason why we decided to take Zay Flowers in the last round, right? Just expecting these wide receivers to become very gross very soon. I'm going to take Kamara here at 67. I don't love it. I think you could very easily make the argument to just take Jerry Jeudy instead. My thing is, like, when we're going to be on the clock again at about pick 78, we'll have access to like these wide receivers in comparison to these running backs. And like the drop down from Jerry Jeudy to like Matthew Golden versus the drop down from Alvin Kamara to Tony Pollard, I think that there's a bigger drop down at running back, in my opinion, than there is at wide receiver. So I know we talked about that we need to slam wide receivers to the middle rounds, but it does seem like almost all of them get sniped from us, where you have Rome going at 58, Godwin 60, Addison 61. So it did become a little bit tougher. I felt like we kind of had to take the running back there. Okay. Jimmy says, I want to say a combo I love that's a huge reach with pick 1, but I don't want to expose it. Yeah. The thing with like the middle, like if you're picking at the end, like if you're picking at 11 or 12 or 1 or 2, you're going to kind of have to reach to get unique combos. Unless you have a player falling to you where you can naturally be unique there. In the middle, you can kind of have a unique build by just letting the values fall to you. Matt says, I like team 4. Team 4 is Bijan, Jacobs, Wilson, Hunter, Ridley, and Connor. My favorite team in this draft is team 7. I think team 7 with Puka, AJ Brown, JSN, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts with the Eagles double stack, and Trevion Henderson. Obviously, they're going to have to be looking at the running back position over the next few rounds. But I think so far, team 7 is my favorite. Okay, let's move this down. Especially once we go Kamara here at 67, I have to take a wide receiver. Like even if Caleb Johnson falls to us at 78, Caleb Johnson's not in play. Kale decides to take Ricky Pearsall. If y'all don't know, one of the rules of these underdog drafts is I always have to have Kale within 2 picks of me. For whatever reason, underdog always sticks us together. Okay. Let's see. We're going to go with Matthew Golden. I'm taking Golden over Reed. Let me pull up the site real quick. Let me show you all something. The Jaden Reed fade is going to be very easy for me. And let me confirm that I have little Jaden Reed whenever I say this. It'd be embarrassing if I say this and I have like 18% Jaden Reed or something. I have 4% Jaden Reed. Okay, so I have half the exposure of an average person on Reed. So here's the reason why I think Matthew Golden is an easy pick over Jaden Reed, even though I don't think Matthew Golden was a good wide receiver prospect. And I say that as I'm wearing the Texas hat. I don't want to try to make an argument for Matthew Golden, but I think it's easy to make an argument for Jaden Reed. I mean, against Jaden Reed, that is. Look at this. Year 1, he goes from wide receiver 26 to year 2, wide receiver 43. He drops from a 17.5% team target share down to about a 16% team target share. The efficiency looks decent. But for a player to decline from year 1 to year 2, and then the team to go out there and the team's never given him a large workload. The best he's ever been is 64% of the snaps for the Packers. And then for that team to then turn around and decide, you know what? It's probably best for us to heavily invest into the wide receiver position in the NFL draft this year, including going and grabbing somebody in round 1. For me, it's easy to just hit the reset button and go and take the guy they just selected in round 1. So looking at that big dog, we need 5 teams to start the $500 draft. We'll see what happens. Freshie says Reed might get traded. Well, we'll see. But maybe it's like an Elijah Moore situation where we see him get traded, think he has successfully escaped. Turns out he just wasn't as good as what we thought he was. We're just going to continue to take wide receivers, right? We have Gibbs, Achane, Kamara. So we need to continue to take receivers, especially wide receivers where their quarterbacks have not already gone. Because we go through and we look at this. Patrick Mahomes is already gone from our Rashee Rice potential option. Obviously, Lamar Jackson was gone before we took Zay Flowers. So the Matthew Golden, Darnell Mooney picks, they allow us to, 1, continue to play catch up at wide receiver. But 2, at the same time, they give us options later at quarterback, such as Jordan Love, as well as Michael Penix. Okay. Sean says, who would you rather have in Dynasty, Brian Thomas Jr. or Puka? Definitely Puka, for sure. Nick says, Mason, are you ready for the Flock League this year? All the same teams or no? Definitely not all the same teams. So here's the setup for the Flock League. And 1, yes, I'm very much ready. Met with the videographer last week. We found a really cool setup to actually do the draft at. That's not just the Airbnb. So we are going to combine all the devs onto one team. So last year, y'all know there are 3 developers of flockfantasy.com. Last year, they all had their separate teams. This year, they all have to share one team. I hired a full-time editor for the Flock League. We didn't have a full-time editor last year. We had somebody doing it part-time. And that full-time editor will also be in the league, so he has additional context and hopefully it makes the videos better. And then we have one extra spot to give away, which I've reached out to a couple people with. I don't have anybody locked in yet, but I'm hoping we get somebody cool. We'll see. Okay, so Luther Burden off the board at pick 100. Is this one of the very few teams I ever take Trey Harris on? I'm going to do it. I have very rarely, if ever, drafted Trey Harris this year. I know the yards per route run, his final season, Ole Miss, looked great, blah, blah, blah. The dude's extremely old. Ran a very limited route tree. Like, I'm not a big Trey Harris guy. Going through and showing the... Let me pull up the amount of drafts I've taken Trey Harris in so far. He may be one of my least drafted wide receivers. I have Trey Harris in 2% of my drafts. I just frankly would rather get Quentin Johnston later, who I think will give you similar production. But looking at our team, a big thing we need to think about is what quarterbacks are we taking later on? Us grabbing Trey Harris at pick 102 opens up the door for us to get Justin Herbert. So we'll do Harris at 102. For the Flock League, maybe one time, like if we were going to do like a giveaway to allow a viewer in it, I think we need to do like something very special with that giveaway. Maybe have like Flock League tryouts. Like have people submit clips and stuff, which may be fun. Maybe I need to talk with the creators about that possibility. But we'll see. Charbonnet goes off the board at 112. Looking at the quarterbacks that are coming up for us, we have Goff and Dak. We could go Goff, pair him up with Gibbs. Not the most exciting thing in the world. Like if Goff fell to us in round 11, then I think we consider that probably a little more. And then Dak, we just have no options for. We could go Dak Prescott and then target Jake Ferguson later on. But again, similar to Goff, I don't want to like take him here in round 10. I think if we're going to go in that direction, we'd probably hope that he falls to us in round 11. We will take Evan Ingram here as our tight end one, which is like a little bit of an awkward pick just because going Evan Ingram here, tight end one, still puts us in a spot, not a boat. I don't know why I said that. Where we probably end up having to take 3 tight ends regardless. So if we're having to take 3 tight ends regardless, I don't necessarily know if we should be going with Ingram. So I'm trying to see how many spots we need for that big dog draft. 4 spots left for the $500 draft. So it looks like it actually may happen. It may happen. Opa Q says, Mason, I watched your stream in the library, but forgot my headphones. There's a sorority event going on, and all the Alpha Phi girls heard it, and now they keep blowing up my phone. Any advice? A rookie mistake. If you were in college, if you ever want to have peace of mind, if you ever want to be able to have your alone time, quiet time, and be able to study and be able to pay attention to the books, maybe get a good lift in, the last thing you can do is let the sorority girls know that you are a member of the flock. Because when that happens, you will never get a free second. Your phone will never stop buzzing. What happened to me in college is I lived on like the 3rd floor of an apartment building, and I'd be trying to sleep. And then I would just hear little rocks getting thrown against my window. And I'd go, what is that? And I go, oh, yeah, that's Zeta. They found me on YouTube. So definitely keep it under. If you want to be able to graduate Have a good GPA. Keep it under wraps, my guy. Keep it under wraps. Okay. Now let's move this down. Travis Etienne goes 124. I think we get sniped on Herbert. Once we get sniped on Herbert, what the hell do I do here? Do we just take Love? Do we go Javonte and hope that we get Love on the way back around? I think we have to go Love here because there's the Jaden Reed team after us, right? And the Jaden Reed team only has one quarterback with Purdy. They clearly care about stacking. They have Purdy paired up with with Kittle and McCaffrey. So we're going to go Jordan Love, 126, pair him up with Matthew Golden, hope that we can get back to the passing volume that he was at 2 years ago. And maybe, just maybe, it was the injury that ended up limiting him this past season. Okay. Nick says, if I sent you a pick of my dynasty lineup, y'all would be too scared to let me in your league. Y'all losing to an editor. I'm cooking y'all. I have a lot of ideas for the Flock League. One thing I want to do is, because if I look back, I think I beat every creator in the Flock League. The only people that really beat me were my editor, and then I lost to a dev or two. But I know I beat Sal. Actually, no, I think Sal may be the only one who beat me. And talking about individual matchups, obviously I didn't end up winning the league. I got the bye and my editor bounced me in the semis. But I'm going to design custom jerseys for everybody. And one thing that I've been thinking is for my jersey, printing out, or not printing out, but having a screenshot of me beating every team on it. I absolutely love to see Marvin Mims falling in drafts because I think Marvin Mims is one of the worst picks in fantasy, or at least in underdog drafts at this point. But he falls 18 picks back. We have Evan Ingram. We have Rice. Maybe we build around this game. I would almost want to throw Marvin Mims in the bucket of no matter how far he falls, you cannot draft him. $19 picks when we need another wide receiver, when we're already kind of in on this Denver Broncos offense. Might as well go ahead and do it. Okay, Trey Benson goes 142, and we may be boxed out at quarterback. This may be a bad situation because Kale ends up going Michael Penix. I thought we were safe to get Penix because the Drake London team was on the other side of the draft board. I guess Kale does have Bijan, and maybe he looks to go Kyle Pitts as well in the following rounds. So I thought we were going to be able to go Marvin Mims and then get Michael Penix later. So at this point, we are in the danger zone at quarterback. Vinny decides to go with Rashad White. We're probably done taking wide receivers. Wide receiver, we have Rice, Tet McMillan, Zay Flowers, Matthew Golden, Darnell Mooney, Trey Harris, Marvin Mims. I know for a damn fact I need to take 3 quarterbacks. I know for a damn fact I need to take 3 tight ends. And we're probably going to take 5 running backs. So I'm probably done drafting wide receivers with the 7 that we have. Andy says, didn't Mims give you last year's spike weeks? Mims gave you 1 spike week last year. Mims played 27% of the snaps. The only reason Marvin Mims goes where he goes is the spike week you got against the Cincinnati Bengals happened in week 17, and it won people millions of dollars in underdog drafts. But just because it happened in week 17 doesn't mean that he's any better of a player than somebody who had that random spike week in week 6. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to go ahead and take Tua, pair up Tua with Devon Achane, where we did see Achane get a considerable amount of involvement as a receiver last season. And obviously a big thing that we were doing when we were drafting Achane in the second round is we're saying, what if Tua stays fully healthy? What if this Miami Dolphins offense gets back to what it was 2 years ago? I'm freaking starving. Floodgate says, Mims for sure going for 112 receptions, 1,700 yards, and 16 TDs now. What's funny is I liked Marvin Mims as a prospect. I just think it's hilarious that, like, there's a player that is going at the 10-11 turn that in his second NFL season played 27% of the snaps, that had a target share under 10%. Like, you would never see that from anybody else. If it wasn't for, like, everybody really paying attention in week 17 and everybody remembering that specific spike, I think Mims's ADP should be a lot closer to like Xavier Legette. I think it should be a lot closer to like 150 rather than 119. Okay. And we're probably going to get into another Best Ball Mania draft after this because there are still 4 spots open in the $500 draft. So we're probably going to have to stall for a bit. But let's move this down. Geno Smith goes 159. Jalen Wright 160. Henry off 161. Please, God. Please. Please give me the guy I need. We get Bryce Young saving our quarterback room, pairing up with Tet McMillan, giving us the third quarterback. So now we have Love paired with Golden. We have Tua paired with Achane. And we have Bryce Young paired with Tet McMillan. So quarterback room, am I going to sit here and act like it's the best thing in the world? No. But it's viable. And running back, we have Gibbs, Achane, Kamara. Good running back core. Wide receiver, we have Rice, Tet McMillan, Flowers, Matthew Golden, Darnell Mooney, Trey Harris, and Marvin Mims. Decent wide receiver room. I love this team? No. No, I do not. Sarah, I'm happy to see it. Says, yes, Mason. Hope you and the family are doing well, mate. Hope the training's coming along nicely. Appreciate you coming out to the live stream, my guy. I know we got to draft with you some, I believe, yesterday. But, yeah, training is going well. I did. Oh, my God. I forgot to. Did I tell you about the snake? Let me know in the live chat. Did I tell you about the snake that happened yesterday on the trail? I definitely told everybody that I called my brothers immediately. I called the girlfriend immediately. I was like, you'll never believe what happened. Okay, people are saying I didn't say this. So obviously I get to Julian. I have the 100-mile trail race on Friday. I decided to practice in the trails here yesterday. If y'all ever see like any ultra marathon stuff, there's this guy named Andrew Glaze who's gone like since 2020. So now like going on 6 years, the man's run 100 miles every single week without missing a week. And like insane person. But he posts out like Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, TikToks, crap like that. And he and Instagram stories. And there was a video from the San Diego 100 last year that he compiled like all his Instagram stories of like maybe 4 minutes worth or whatever. We're going to take Braylon Allen as our 4th running back here. He compiled them all, throw them in. And in that, like it's supposed to be rattlesnake country here. And like there's a single track where you're running and there's like tall grass on the side of you. And then like a little dirt path that's like 3 feet wide, 2 feet wide, just wide enough, right? Where the grass is kind of touching the side of you, but you're not having to run through the grass. And there was a giant rattlesnake crossing the trail. And so I've been thinking about that over the past month, terrified that I'm going to get bit by a snake on like mile 50 or something. Yesterday, my first day running the trails, there's a little garden snake, like a mile in, that crosses the little trail right in front of me. And I go, oh, that's a little scary, but I'm not going to overreact. It's a little garden snake. And then about 5 or 6 miles later, I'm running like kind of on a single track with tall grass on the side of me. I turn the corner and curled up right in front of me, like 3 feet away, facing the other direction, is a rattlesnake. If I wasn't paying attention and I would just kept on running, probably would have got bit. I've never been so close to a rattlesnake before. Now I am extra scared. But it was... Christopher says, San Diego's rattlesnake country. You hear them more than you see them. And yeah, I'm like 50 miles east of San Diego, like where so I'm scared. My first run here got that close to rattlesnake. Chris says, going to be my first best ball draft tonight. Any advice? So if you were new to Underdog, general rule of thumb that you really need to make sure that you follow is you're going to draft 2 to 3 quarterbacks in every single draft. You're going to take 2 to 3 tight ends in every single draft. You're going to take 4 to 6 running backs in every single draft, unless you wait a ridiculous time period. Like sometimes I'll botch a draft where I don't draft my first running back until round 8, and then I take 7. But generally you take 4 to 6 running backs, and then the rest of your spots are going to be wide receiver. And you scale that based off how early you took those other positions. So say like in this draft, if I'm having to take 4 to 6 running backs, I went Gibbs, Achane rounds 1 and 2. So, and then Kamara as well. So I have a good running back room. So I'm not taking 6 RBs. I'm going to stop it at 5. But also my quarterback room with Jordan Love and Tua at pick 126 and 150 is pretty weak. So there I'm going to go with the 3rd. So hopefully that helps. And we're going to just take Cade Otton, or we're just going to be filling out our tight ends and running backs to the rest of this, right? Don't necessarily think we need to think about it too much. Okay. Henry says, do you notice the eliminators head-to-head from weeks 2 on and you cash in week 4? Yes, sir, I did notice. I've been mixing in some eliminators. And I've been going with, I know typically what people are wanting to do, and you'll see this with the ADP reflected, is like running backs are getting pushed up. But what I've been doing lately, which could be just horrible, is I've been going some 0 RB teams in the eliminator. I've been taking like the wide receivers early, starting with like a CeeDee Lamb, a Ladd McConkey, T. Higgins, a trio. Then honestly, maybe even still following it up with a solid wide receiver around 4 and 5, and then drafting 7 running backs in the eliminator. Reed says, I was on a 7-acre deer lease in East Texas that was supposed to be by the river, a true island. Most of the snakes we saw were moccasins and rattlesnakes. Yeah, I'm scared now. I did look it up though, and they said California only has like 500 rattlesnake bites a year. So that made me feel a lot better. I was like, if they only have 500 a year, what are the odds I get bit? Okay, so we're just going to take one more running back here. Diami Brown off 196. We'll go DJ Giddens, a great running back prospect, gets us some youth in this running back room as well. And then we are going to be just firing away at a random tight end with our last pick. But I'm going to go ahead and just join a Best Ball Mania draft right now so we don't have to wait too long. I'm going to count down when I join for y'all. If anybody wanted to get in with us, 3, 2, 1, I am in. And it just got filled. Steven says, thoughts on Woody Marks? I think he's just a receiving back. This is 500 per year, 499 on trails. It's funny. FF Explorer says, I was bit by a snake once. After 3 days of agonizing pain, the snake died. Yeah, my plan is to bite the snake. Whenever I talked to my brother this morning, he said our strategy, because he's flying here to crew the race. He said our strategy is going to be, we find a snake, grab it by its tail, and just helicopter it around us, where if anybody tries to pass us, they have to slow back or they get bit. Easy way to win the race. SJW says, I got Ginty and CMC in a Best Ball Mania draft the other night. I actually got that in a big dog, slow draft the other day. Ryan says, are the Flock Fantasy rankings up to date for the coming season? Some of these rankings seem really off, like Barkley RB6. So you really got to make sure you're looking at the right rankings, right? So if you're looking at the Dynasty Superflex rankings, Yeah, Saquon Barkley on the expert average is going to be RB6. And obviously, this isn't just my rankings. You want to hit my rankings, go hit sort by, and then Mason Dodd. And then you'll see my exact rankings, right? But if you wanted to look at like rankings for this season, you're going to have to hit format and go to best ball. And then there you can see that Barkley's the RB2. I have him ahead of Bijan. Well, really, they're tied with the average at 3.33. So we're going to grab a tight end, and then that other draft is already going. Who do we want? Here we go, Elijah Arroyo. Gets the decent draft capital. I don't love the prospect, but we got some older tight ends. Might as well get some youth in here. And let me pull up that other BBM draft because that is already going right this second. We're about to be on the clock. And where are we picking in this one? We get pick 10 in this. Okay. OPAC says, hearing reports that 100% of the rattlesnake bite victims were not members of the flock. I think that is true. I heard that same thing. Jahmyr Gibbs off the board at pick 7. Let's see how many spots we need in the big dog. We still need 4 slots in the big dog. So it looks like it may not be happening unless we have some last minute joiners. We'll see. Wraith 12 on the clock right before us goes St. Brown. So we'll take Genty here at 10. The trend, and this could continue where it actually ends up flipping by the time we get to August. The trend is McCaffrey is rising, and it looks like McCaffrey may end up being like the 7th player in underdog drafts or the 7th player in fantasy drafts by the time you get to August. And also, the trend is Ashton Genty is falling, where Genty used to go at picks 7 and 8, and now it looks like more and more drafts, Genty is going like 10, 11, 12. Stano says Vinny is everywhere. Vinny truly is. I'm not going to take Derrick Henry here. I think enough of y'all probably know that by now. We're going to take Drake London, have a very boring start, but get a little bit of balance. Henry, I remember, and what did I say? The second that I did that, I went, oh, that was a mistake. That's a bad idea. As of now, McCaffrey is the number 2 player I have in terms of total dollars invested into in underdog drafts. And a lot of those, we got McCaffrey there at the beginning of the second, which feels great. Bob says, I bet 500 that Caleb will be the MVP this year. I think Caleb could have a great season. Now, obviously, MVP is a little bit out there. But you look at Caleb Williams, you have the level of investment this offseason into the offensive line by the Bears that's very encouraging. You have the much improved coaching staff, while at the same time, you're also getting Luther Burden and Loveland coming in and Rome going into year 2. So, well, maybe it's tough to go MVP. It is very likely that he's much, much better this year than he was last year. Ross Cred says, I bet 1K on the Pacers in the finals. Speaking of the Pacers, I owe y'all a massive thank you. Y'all know I don't know anything about the NBA. So I've been using y'all for help with the Underdog Pick'em, specifically with that streak that we started. If y'all don't know, Underdog has Pick'ems, which one thing that we're actually probably going to do is I may want to take advantage of this 50% profit boost and the extender as well. If y'all haven't seen the extender setup that Underdog has at the moment, it's actually very interesting, but we don't need to do that until closer to the Pacers game. But one thing I need to thank y'all for is I started this Pick'em streak, which is like a unique thing to Underdog, where like every day you make a pick, and like this is like a $10 Pick'em to win like 8K. And I've been asking y'all in the live stream what we should be doing, and every single day in the live stream, y'all been guiding me in the right direction. So yesterday, y'all gave me the Karl Anthony Towns higher than 33.5 points and rebounds. He got 36, and we live to fight another day. I think our cash out at this point is somewhere in like the $100 to $200 range. But at this point, I'm having fun just asking y'all what we should do, and I want to keep it rolling. So we're 5 away from turning that $10 into about 8,000, which obviously is very, very, very much a long shot, but we'll see if we can do it together in the stream. Okay. SJW says, I really like Calvin Austin as a round 17 flyer. So I have drafted 0 Calvin Austin. I've taken Roman Wilson, which may just be laughable. I took a lot of round 18 Roman Wilson last season. It was laughable. My thing with Calvin Austin is like, what are we expecting? He's going into year 3. The first 2 seasons of his NFL career, he's averaged about like 4.5 fantasy points per game. So I don't know. I would almost rather just go with Roman Wilson and go like, I'm pretty sure Calvin Austin's bad. I don't know if Roman Wilson may be horrible. I have no idea. We're going to take JSN here at pick 34. Obviously, I really do like the elite quarterbacks in this range, but a lot of times you'll actually get one of Allen or Lamar falling to us in the 4th. And if not, we can just go with the wide receiver. We take a bunch with Xavier Worthy. I think Worthy may be the thumbnail in this live stream. Never mind. Worthy off the board at 35. Not the end of the world. We've already drafted a lot of Worthy. Vinny takes Jalen Hurts. Did he take A.J. Brown earlier? Yeah, he goes with the unique start of A.J. Brown paired with that 12 hole. So we're going to get either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson here, pick 39. Which, because we went London in round 2 and JSN in round 3, I think we are, I don't want to say strong at wide receiver. Of course, we're not strong. But I don't think we're too large of a hole where we can afford to take the elite level quarterback here at 39. Like if we decided to go Derrick Henry in round 2 and we started like Genty, Derrick Henry, then JSN, I'd be way too scared to go with the elite quarterback. And instead, I'd probably just take a wide receiver here. But after getting those 2 wide receivers in rounds 2 and 3, I think we can afford Josh Allen. Mason says Loveland or Kincaid in Dynasty. Loveland, it's not even remotely close. Like general rule of thumb, you can ask yourself, which actually funny for the Dynasty channel, I just recorded a tight end rankings and tiers. Underdog ADP, in my opinion, is going to be a very useful tool to try to figure out what expectations should be going into this next season. Is it always going to be 100% accurate? Hell no. But it's a good baseline. Right now for 2025 drafts, Loveland is going as the tight end 10. Kincaid's going as the tight end 14. Loveland's going to be 21 years old this season, and Kincaid's going to be 26 years old this season. So, like, why would I ever in Dynasty value a player that's going to be 5 years older that's getting drafted behind the other guy in redraft leagues? Like, stupid simple thing to look at. But of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button, and hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to be able to come out to the very beginning of these live streams. And of course, we are trying to fill the $500 big dog draft. There are 4 spots open. If anybody wants to get in that, now's the time. If it does not fill by the end of this live stream, I will be leaving the lobby for sure. I'm not going to be doing the $500 fast draft off the live stream. I can justify it to myself if we're able to turn it into content. And what's it called? If not, we'll get in another draft after this one and we'll do maybe another Best Ball Mania. Bob says I DoorDash Loveland a Texas Roadhouse steak the other week. That is crazy. Alex asking if Diggs is going to get cut. I'd be very surprised if Diggs is cut. I think Diggs, if you look at his contract, he's priced to get cut next offseason. Like he signed a 1-year deal effectively. Drew says, are you getting ready for that race? Yes, I did my last run today, essentially. And the race is on Friday. I'll have the stationary bike here tomorrow. So I'll probably like spin out on the bike for like 30 minutes, draft an underdog team Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe I run like a mile, or I'd probably just take the dog on a long walk. And rest up for the race to start on. We're going to take Jalen Waddle here at 58. I haven't drafted a lot of Waddle this year, which is new for us, of course. But the race starts Friday morning. Yeah. Steven says you deserve a cup of coffee. This is one of the longest times I've gone without caffeine in a long time. I asked ChatGPT this morning how long my caffeine cleanse has been so far. And I think it's been 29 days. So we've been clean for caffeine for a while. Specifically, so when I'm on like mile 12 of the race, I'm going to try to wait as long as I can during the race to start taking the caffeine. But when like I'm on mile 12, I can go through, take like 100 milligrams of caffeine and not mile 12, hour 12. Take like 100 milligrams of caffeine when it's starting to get dark outside. And it really hits me. Because typically I take 100 milligrams of caffeine every day and like a little liquid IV thing. But I've taken it for so long that it has like no impact on me. So I need to take like I essentially needed to detox from it because I really need it to have an impact for the race. Quick says, damn, your team stacked. I really like our squad. Genty, Kamara at running back, wide receiver London, JSN, Waddle. And then we have the elite quarterback with Allen. So obviously extremely strong at quarterback. Running back's running back strong. Wide receivers decent. We'll see what we can get at 82 and 87, but I'm liking it so far. Drew says, just out of curiosity, do you have a coach trainer for these or do you just plan out everything yourself? I just do everything myself. I watch a lot of YouTube videos and kind of see what other people are doing. But so far, I've planned out everything myself. I reached out to a YouTuber that I watch for Ironman stuff. And so full transparency, I was thinking of really diving deep into, because if I want to get really good at Ironman races, what essentially it would take is I need to stop running so much and I need to start biking a lot more. Like the professional Ironman guys, they bike at least like 2x the amount of they run, maybe even 3x. And I'm like the exact opposite. I run like 3 to 4 times more than I'm on the bike, which is like, you can't be competitive in Ironman that way. But I just like running a lot more. But I did think about like maybe really taking the Ironman stuff seriously and trying to qualify for Kona next year. So I reached out to a YouTuber that I watched that like sells coaching. And I was like, hey, I'd be interested in like you being my coach, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to take a guess on how much it is to get like a online coach for like an online triathlon coach? Do you want to take a guess on how much it costs a month? No gym membership, just online triathlon coach. Okay, y'all are going way higher than I thought. It was like $800, $900. And I was like, oh my God, that's way more than I thought. I was like, my gym membership is $50 a month. I was like, $800, $900 is crazy. I was like, it's making flockfantasy.com look like an absolute steal. We're going to go Diggs. I know we just had the question on if he's going to get cut. This gives us the optionality to actually look at like Drake May later in this draft. And with Stephon Diggs, all in all, if we look at the news that he's running without a brace and you just look at the videos from Instagram, I almost think that's better news. Like the good news this week almost outweighs the bad news with Stephon Diggs in my mind. And I haven't drafted a lot of Diggs. Floodgate says, what's your max bench getting into powerlifting? So I was on the powerlifting team at UT. The best bench I ever had was, here real quick. What do we want to do? Mooney does give us the ability to take Penix later. So let's just go Darnell Mooney. Go wide receiver at the turn. I mean, we have 2 solid running backs. We grabbed ourselves the elite quarterback. So now running back, we have Ginty, Kamara. Wide receiver, we have London, JSN, Waddle, Diggs, Darnell Mooney. Quarterback, we have Allen. Running back, we have Kamara. The max bench I ever got, I weighed about 160 pounds and benched 275. I was raw. I wasn't equipment. But I would say the most impressive lift I ever had bench-wise, if you go back to the very first video on this channel, like hit the videos tab and sort by oldest, you'll see me doing the NFL Combine in college, which I'm very, very slow and very unathletic, just for anybody who doesn't know. But I benched 225 for 12 reps, and I weighed like 160 pounds. But Mooney at 87, then Cup Downs. I feel like we're pretty damn strong at wide receiver at this point, where it's not like a big need that we need to have somebody falling to us in the 9th or the 10th. Obviously, when we have Josh Allen, Keon Coleman is a really nice target for us later. It would have been preferred, of course, to get Khalil Shakir rather than Stephon Diggs for the Josh Allen build, but it is what it is. Drew says he had 250 pounds at 145 body weight. That's massive. Freshie says, I don't think they can charge Diggs with anything if his boat was offshore in international waters. Okay, so here's my theory on like Stephon Diggs getting charged with something for a video leaking of him having some pink substance and giving it to some Instagram models. Stephon Diggs makes $20 million a year. Everything I know about people who make that much money is they're not going to get in trouble. You think the law is going to come for Stephon Diggs because of a video? That ain't happening. How many rappers record videos of them with drugs and guns and nothing happens? My opinion, you make enough money, whatever is seen on a video kind of goes out the window. Shaheed off 103. So Keon will probably make it. The thing is, if we look at the teams after us, what would be the probability nobody takes Keon there? Vinny already has 5 receivers. The thing about Vinny, though, is he's known to snipe us. So we're just going to go ahead, take Keon Coleman as our 6th guy. Make sure we at least have 1 stack with Allen where we're not having DeForest Kincaid later. And I'm completely fine with the Keon Coleman price in comparison to the wide receivers he's getting drafted alongside. In general, I don't like the wide receivers at this range of the draft. And we're going to take Jonnu Smith. And by us taking Jonnu here, we can pair him up with Waddle and then look for Tua later on and make the one consolidated bet. Oh, what if Tua can get back to the passing volume that he had 2 years ago? Or what if Tyreek is completely done and dusted? Or what if Tyreek gets traded? Like, there are a couple different outcomes that taking Waddle and Jonnu together could work out. So running back now, we have Ginty, Kamara, and that's it. Wide receiver, we have London, JSN, Waddle, Diggs, Mooney, Keon. And then tight end, we have Jonnu. And we have a lot of options for our quarterbacks later on. Like, we can go Michael Penix. We can go Sam Darnold. We could go Tua. We could go Drake May. We could go, I guess we had Darnell Mooney and Drake London. I didn't even notice we took both of them together, to be completely honest with you. So we have a bunch of different quarterbacks. We're not really going to need to force anything. We'll just see which one of our options ends up falling to us, really. Raphael says, Mason is telling us to get rich on fantasy football so we can flaunt our pink nose sugar. Exactly. That's my thing. I'm here. I'm going to win Best Ball Mania, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some pink nose sugar. John says, not a big fan of Jonnu, but we'll see how wrong I am. I don't have a lot of Jonnu either, my guy. I actually just talked about this in that video I recorded right before this. But so let me pull up my actual Jonnu exposure. I know I'm taking Jonnu for this build here. He falls in ADP. I don't have a tight end. He pairs up with Waddle. I only have Jonnu in 6% of drafts, so I am slightly underweight on Jonnu. And my big thing is Jonnu's going to be 30 years old this season, and he's only ever been viable for an 8-week stretch in his age 29 season. And he's played with 4 different NFL teams. So like in my mind, I think Jonnu Smith, more likely than not, was just kind of a result of a system at the end of last season that we don't know if it's going to carry over. It's like, how many times do you see a 29-year-old breakout that sustains itself? It just that from a player that was on 4 different teams. It's not like you can blame, oh, he was just stuck with this bad quarterback, or, oh, he was just stuck with this bad coaching staff. He's been on every team coaching staff you can imagine. So there's a run on quarterbacks here with Drake May, Jared Goff, Herbert, as well as Jordan Love. So out of this group, Drake May would have been the only guy we would have really taken at 130. So now we're probably going to be passing on quarterback here at the 11-12 turn. Charbonnet goes 127. Awkward spot about us taking a tight end here potentially. Like if we were to go Jonnu Smith and David Njoku, are we done at tight end? I'm sure we are. But we could also wait until round 12 and possibly go with Kincaid. But we'll see. And Njoku goes, so we're going to take Javonte. I haven't drafted a lot of him, but getting him here as the running back 3 on our squad does make a lot of sense, especially once Njoku's gone, because this can set us up just to take Dalton Kincaid at 135, pair him up with Allen. Vinny says, is Ninja doing Best Ball Mania? If so, Mason, you should collab. He's in this draft. Ninja the streamer? Let me make sure we're talking about the same guy, my friend. Ooh, real quick. We're just going to take Kincaid. It would be very interesting to take Jaden Blue and Javonte in rounds 11 and 12 and essentially monopolize. Honestly, F it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Jaden Blue and Javonte, monopolize all the Dallas Cowboys running back touches. I've drafted very few of these guys so far this offseason, kind of with the hopes that maybe the bum running backs I'm taking at the end of drafts right now that haven't signed yet end up in Dallas. Maybe ETN gets dealt. Are you trying to tell me that this ninja is in this draft? There's a 0% chance. That would legitimately be the coolest moment of my life. But looking at number 2, his name is Ninja Gaming. I know, I did think about this. His ninja's name is Tyler's. Possibly 2 ninjas in there. That is true. We have Tyler Blevins in this draft with us, multi-tabling at picks 2 and 3. Henry says, how many big dog spots left? Less than 4, I'd hope. Let me pull it up. If Ninja's in this live stream, in this draft with us, he better be joining the big dog draft for sure. I know Ninja's a big NFL fan. I think he is a big... I know he's a big Lions fan. I don't know what I'm saying. I think he is. Sorry, I was trying to figure out whatever we're at with the big dog. Yeah, it looks like there are still 4 spots left in the big dog. So, looks like it's not happening. Yeah, obviously, this is not the actual ninja we all know. It's maybe a different ninja gamer that I have no idea. Krob says, just did my first underdog draft. Can someone explain why quarterbacks go so much later than usual? Than your regular redraft league? Maybe because it's harder to find wide receiver production, so people take the wide receivers earlier. Balls Life says, Ninja does a podcast with his brothers. It's actually really, really good. Now, what would be the coolest thing ever is if we could find out Ninja actually watches these live streams, get him in the Flock League. That one spot that's open. If we get Ninja, that would be the coolest thing in the world. Now, Eckler goes 150. It would have been really nice to actually get Kincaid on the way back around 13. I thought there was a non-0% chance that was going to happen. But yeah, that run on tight ends right after we take Jaden Blue, right? So Tua goes 151. Tua would have been that potential double stack for us, but no harm, no foul. We're going to take Michael Penix. Now, something we could do is we could have gone Kyle Pitts and pretty much guaranteed us Michael Penix on the way back around. Or hell, we may end up getting Pitts on the way back around. I don't know. We do need it, like, is there a world in having like in the past I would have said I don't want London, Mooney, and Pitts and Penix all on the same team. But you go back last year, somebody wins Best Ball Mania by having every single Cincinnati Bengal on their team. Is there a world in which this is the year you have every single Atlanta Falcon on your team? You take it. We'll do it. We'll take Kyle Pitts as our second tight ends. We will build just a massive Falcons onslaught where at quarterback, we have Josh Allen, and we also have Josh Allen stacked with Keon Coleman. We have Michael Penix stacked up with London, Mooney, as well as Kyle Pitts. Don't think we need the third option for Michael Penix. If it wasn't for Kyle Pitts falling so far past his ADP, it probably wouldn't have taken him. But quarterback, Josh Allen and Michael Penix, great QB room. Running back, Genty, Kamara, Javonte, Jaden Blue, I think it's a solid RB room. Wide receiver, Drake London, JSN, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman. I think it's a solid wide receiver room. Tight end, Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, and a bum third guy. Pretty decent there as well. Michael says one more draft. Yes, sir. We'll get into another draft after this one. And of course, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. And if you wanted to get into a draft with us, we are drafting on Underdog. You can scan the QR code, top on Underdog right now. Again, these are best ball drafts, so it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league. 0 time commitment at all during the season. And if you use code FLUCK, you'll get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Plus, on top of that, you'll be getting our 2025 fantasy football draft guide and cheat sheets that we'll be putting out for Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, NFL Fantasy, whatever you play on. Okay. Zach Ertz, 174. Let's see. So we're done at quarterback. We need one more running back, one more tight end, and then 2 more receivers. Frymuth goes 175. I would have taken Frymuth if he would have fallen. I know who I want here at 178. Don't know if we'll get him, but I know who he is. Actually, there are 2 guys I could go with. I'm not going to say their names just because realistically we could get one on the way back around. But the first guy that we're looking at is Michael Wilson. We'll take Michael Wilson at 178, who has not been a good wide receiver so far in his NFL career, but has played a ton of snaps, run a ton of routes. So taking him at 178 may not be the worst thing in the world. Hopkins goes 179. I assume that's to the Lamar team. Vinny takes Demario Douglas. Douglas was the other guy that we wanted. we just take Pat Bryant? Pat Bryant, my thing with Pat Bryant is I think it's like a player that could be going undrafted by the time we get to August. Like, what are the alternatives when it comes to tight end? We could go Mason. We're going to go Mason Taylor. Round 2 capital, limited competition. Get the third tight end that does have some upside. And then looking at the running backs, I think a lot of these running backs are going to be similar in round 17 than the guys that would have been available in round 18. Manny says, you have 1.5 running back right now at best in this team. Whoops. Don't know exactly what that means. John says, I think Pat Bryant will stay relevant, maybe a 17th round pick. Yeah, like I do need to kind of pick a lane, right? Because if I want to sit here and say like, oh, Bo Nix is solid, great rookie season, good offensive line, the Denver Broncos should project out well this next year. And then at the same time, try to claim that Marvin Mims is the worst pick in drafts. Like, somebody has to score. Production has to come from somebody there. So maybe I do need to pick a lane, and maybe Pat Bryant is a decent way to go about that. Master says Kamara has a $5,000 incentive for 1,600 total yards this season. I mean, I have a $2 million incentive to win Best Ball Mania, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Spencer says, Flock Community Contest coming in July, maybe even June. I'll reach out to the Underdog peeps, and we'll definitely get some Flock Community Contest going. Devin Neal goes 193. Adonai Mitchell off the board. Jerome Ford goes as well. I don't know if I've taken any Jerome Ford this year, which I guess Ford could be interesting as the only veteran running back in that backfield. We're going to take one more wide receiver, one more running back, and I'm going to just hop into another Best Ball Mania draft. I'm probably going to leave the big dog right now. I'm sorry. I really thought that we were going to be able to fill it. I'll give it a couple more minutes, but there have been like 4 open spots in it since we joined. So, or not since we joined. When we joined, there were like 7 open spots. We got it down to 4. But let me change the title of this live stream because I kind of feel bad about that. Edit. Okay. And I just left the $500 draft. And I'm also going to be joining a new BBM. I'll count that down for y'all. But first, we're going to take Dylan Sampson here. And Sampson's similar in my mind. I should just take Kareem Hunt. But Dylan Sampson's similar to some of the other running backs that you could have looked at earlier. Guys like DJ Giddens, as an example. The only difference is he is going to be in a worse offense. So we just joined that new BBM, if anybody wanted to get in with us. Vinny on the clock, and we are going to take one final receiver. I'm going to take somebody I've drafted a lot of. It's embarrassing that I've taken a lot of him. And, oh, dear God, I just saw where we're at in the other draft, and we are sandwiched between. God, the other draft is going to be tough. Tough. So I've taken a decent amount of Amari Cooper, to just be completely honest with you. Amari's still very young. I don't want to say very young. He's younger than you'd think. He's younger than like Devontae Adams. We'll take him here at 207. He was very bad last year, of course. But he was stuck in a garbage offense. And then afterwards, he had to try to adjust and learn on the fly in Buffalo. So we'll take Amari Cooper 207. Do I feel great about it? No, but the guys that go before him are freaking Calvin Austin, Tutu Atwell, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Diami Brown. So what do you want from me? But we are on the clock in the other draft. Let me go ahead and pull that up for y'all. And look who we are drafting next to in the other draft. And we took Justin Jefferson at pick 2. Maybe in a regular fantasy football draft, we decided to go ahead and take Barkley. But here, it's just kind of tough getting away from the wide receiver. We have to draft right next to Vinny. Not only right next to Vinny, but also right next to Mr. Padilla. Not only that, but like I said previously, every single one of these drafts, we are within 2 slots of Cale Elliott. So we are in a tough spot. We also have Michael in this draft in with us at 7. Albie's in this draft in with us at 5. Darth Jaws did not make it. Steven did not either. And yes, Amari did just turn 26. Rafael says, Mason, fun question. Who do you think changed their sport more? Odell in football or Curry in basketball? For sure, Curry in basketball. Like Odell, 2014 Odell. And I know I've told this story a bunch, but just in case somebody's new here and hasn't heard it. So I've been playing in fantasy football leagues since probably about like 2008. But I didn't truly fall in love with fantasy football because like starting in 2008, 2009, 2010, I honestly don't even remember what year it was. But starting then, I just joined a regular home league. Some guys from my mom's work, she let me join. And it was just like one league that I played on Yahoo or whatever. But 2014 is the year that I went like, oh my gosh, fantasy football is my entire life. This is all I'm going to think about. This is all I'm going to do, blah, 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 blah. And that's when I started playing in like 10 plus dynasty leagues, which got up to about 30 dynasty leagues year round. So like 2014, 2015, 2016, that's the time period where I really fell in love with fantasy, especially dynasty fantasy football. So like Odell has a special place in my heart, but like the mark that he'll leave on the NFL in comparison to what Curry will for the NBA. Like I think the Odell reception, the Odell catch, it was used to be the intro to this channel. Like it's super impactful for me. But in general, like Curry just completely changed the NBA. We're going to take Taylor here, 23. I haven't taken a ton of Taylor, but might as well mix him in. And we're going to take McBride here as well, which we've seen McBride falling to round 3 more and more often as of late, which again, I want to reiterate. I understand because it is very nice, some of the tight end values that you're going to be able to get later. Like hell, Brock Bowers fell to pick 20 in this draft. Somebody was able to start a draft with Bijan and Bowers. That team at 5 going Bijan, Bowers, Harrison is insane. Bijan, Bowers, Harrison may be the best start that I've seen from any draft so far this year. That is ridiculous. Like, I like us going like Jefferson, Taylor, McBride, but compared to them, God. Trav says, where do you think the Rashee Rice ADP ends up? If Rice truly does not get suspended, Rashee Rice will be getting drafted ahead of Higgins, Wilson. I think he'll end up as a mid-second. So it seems like you don't have the injury risk that we initially thought. So now it comes down to like, is the suspension risk real? Tuck says, how about Barkley Bowers? Were you able to get a Barkley Bowers start? Dart Joss has been playing fantasy football back when you had to manually do stats from sports section of newspapers. I'm young enough where I never even interacted with the newspaper, fantasy or anything. Okay. Freshie says, watch him draft Quentin Johnson in the 4th. If Albee takes Quentin Johnson in the 4th, that will truly be the best fantasy football start I've ever seen. Paz decides to get Jalen Hurts to pair up with A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith goes 43 to the team that started with 3 running backs out the gate. Jaden Daniels goes to the team at 5 that we really like. I don't want to say too much until we're on the clock. Obviously, Kale is in the stream, Mr. Padilla is in the stream, and Vinny's all in the stream. So we're going to try to keep things under wraps. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say F it. We're going to get one of the wide receivers on the way back around. I want to get as much Amari and Hampton at the 4 or 5 turn that I possibly can. And then we'll just see what wide receiver makes it back. In general, from a roster construction perspective, I kind of feel like maybe we should have gone wide receiver. But I just think that Amari and Hampton, in comparison to Jamison Williams, Hampton just clears him. Round 1 NFL draft capital, size to be a 3-down workhorse, athletic profile that you're looking for, and receiving upside, plus good offensive line, plus good coaching staff, plus good quarterback play. Hampton has everything you'd possibly want. And then obviously you can say, well, what about Najee Harris? Realistically, can we all answer this together? Where would you draft Amari and Hampton if Najee Harris was not in Los Angeles? Where would you draft Hampton if Najee never signed to be a Charger? Henry says round 2. Mike says first round. Mesa Rare says second round. Andy says after Bucky. Kitamori next to Jay. I think that's the correct answer. I think you'd be going here next to Bucky and JT. I would still very clearly rather have Achane over him. But yeah, so obviously Najee is there and that will have an impact for Amari and Hampton, especially early in the season. But one thing that I think is so funny, and I know a lot of people are confused maybe why I don't talk about week 17 bringbacks and week 17 matchups as much as a lot of other people, is my thing is why are we focusing so much on a week 17 matchup that is extremely difficult to predict what the game environment's going to be versus just taking the guys that you think have an insane ceiling in weeks 15, 16, 17? It's kind of funny going oh, we can't draft Hampton because Najee Harris will have the workload early in the year, but also let's do our entire Underdog Best Ball Mania draft around week 17. It's kind of got to pick a lane there. We either only care about late season upside, which Hampton has all of it. Hampton could be a top 5 running back for the final 3-week playoff stretch. Or you care about production throughout the entire season. I think Hampton could be that top 5 running back for the final 3 weeks of the year. So now wide receiver, we have Jefferson and DK Metcalf. Running back, we have Taylor and Hampton. And tight end, we have McBride. Okay. So let's move this down. Nathaniel says, because week 17 is where all the money is. That's exactly why I'm ignoring Najee Harris and taking a player that I think could be a top 5 running back in the final 3 weeks, my friend. Mesa Rare says, dude at 7 got Mixon to fall. Let me see. Where did Mixon go? Mixon at 55. Yeah, so, and he gets Henderson at 66. That is an exciting start as well. Debo goes 68. Laporta off 70. We need at least one receiver. We're going to take Jacoby Myers, especially now that Ricky Pearsall is banged up with a hamstring. Let's get Myers, and then we'll just take whatever running back makes it back to us at 74. If we want a running back, we'll see. We could go Pearsall as well and continue to play catch-up at receiver. Because we are going to be on the clock at pick 95. And I guess there are wide receivers there that we like. So since there are wide receivers there that we like, let's take Montgomery. I'm not the biggest Montgomery guy. I do think that his role could continue to shrink in favor of Jahmyr Gibbs. But one thing that is always at least interesting about Montgomery is if I'm making weekly rankings and Jahmyr Gibbs goes down, due to an injury, at that point, where do I rank Montgomery? He's a lock for a top 5 running back that week in my rankings. So if he's a lock as a projection of a top 5 running back, if Gibbs were to go down, it's like, well, we get some usable weeks from Montgomery regardless. And at the same time, you do have true league winning upside here in round 7. And I think we will for sure need to be in a spot where we are taking either 1 to 2 wide receivers in rounds 8 and 9. Okay, Jaden Reed goes pick 80. Aaron Jones goes 81. ETN says you are exaggerating with the top 5 RB for Montgomery. I don't think so at all. We have yet to see, at least last year, we did not get to see Jahmyr Gibbs go down and what that mean for Montgomery. But one thing that we could do is, what's been Montgomery's finish every time he's played more than 70% of the snaps? Because if he plays 70 plus, if Gibbs goes down, he's going to play 70+%. The only examples that we have date back to 2023, where he was the RB16 one week, but then the RB2 and the RB5, with one of those weeks him dropping 34 points. So those 3 weeks where he played 70+% of the snaps, Montgomery was averaging 22 points per game. So Mahomes goes, so does Jordan Mason. One thing that we'll have to consider as we are taking some wide receivers is we really need to be looking at the wide receivers. We'll have quarterback options later. Is as of now, like, I'm not really wanting to take Geno. I guess we have McCarthy. What am I talking about? We have McCarthy open to us. DK Metcalf's really the only guy that doesn't have that option. Higgins goes 92. Mike says Lions fall back this year. That's why everyone in that offense seems expensive to me. My thing with the Lions, you look at, damn, Kale. Kale takes an unstacked Kyler from us. I'm going to take Pittman. Brutal. You look at the sportsbook projections, they are projecting out the Lions like as a top 5 team. Obviously, that's not necessarily a top 5 offense. But still, and now what the hell am I doing? I'm not taking an unsacked Baker here. I would have loved Igbuka and Baker both falling. Could go with an unsacked Bo Nix, but then that puts us in a spot where we have to take one of the worst picks in fantasy, in my opinion. Kelsey seems like such a bad pick here. We're going to panic pick Kelsey. I have no idea what we should have done. I was really hoping we could have gone like Kyler and Pittman to pair up Kyler with McBride and then just get Pittman to help out at wide receiver. Feel like we botched it. You look at some historical data for the playoffs, it actually does make sense historically in underdog drafts to go with one of those elite tight ends and follow it up with another mid tight end one. I do think Kelsey can outscore the wide receivers here, guys like Trey Harris. But it doesn't feel great. Maxwell says, how are you going to snipe Kelsey from me? If we could trade here, my friend, I would have traded you the pick so you could have taken Kelsey yourself. Because, yeah, I do not feel good about that at all. Caleb goes 105. We could have gone like Luther Burden and Caleb at the 8-9 turn. It just didn't feel great. Warren, Scattaboo both go. I don't even know what are we going to be looking at on the way back around? I think we need to have a plan. The issue is some of these tight ends that I really like This is why the Kelsey pick was bad. I really like Loveland and I really like Tyler Warren, especially on a McBride build. And we're not able to take either guy at this point. So realistically at 119, 122, like these are the players that we're going to be looking at. Like Goff, Charbonnet, Kyle Williams, Etienne, Marvin Mims, Javonte, Herbert, May. None of the quarterbacks we have stacks for. Wide receivers, I think Kyle Williams and Marvin Mims and Christian Kirk, I think all the wide receiver picks are bad. I can't go like running back. We take like Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams. We're sitting with 5 running backs, 4 receivers, and 2 tight ends. There's no way in hell that wins us Best Ball Mania. Could be worse. This could be a $500 draft instead of a $25 for sure. I told y'all it's going to be a tough draft as soon as we load it up next to Vinny, Mr. PD, and Kale. Kyle Williams goes. Good. I was not wanting to take Kyle Williams here. ETN off 117. We're going to take an unstacked Fields. Thing with taking an unstacked Fields is we can get the rushing upside spike weeks that I am completely fine with. Javonte goes 120. I almost want to reach on Jack Besh here, which we're going to do. We're going to reach on Jack Besh. We're going to pair him up with Jacoby Myers to set ourselves up with the double stack of Geno Smith later. And we're going to play the what if game. What if Geno turns out to actually be some great NFL quarterback and he just needed to go to the Raiders to really unlock his passing volume, which probably won't happen. Ben says, Lazard round 18, Mason. No balls. Yeah, I have no balls. That is true. I'd rather just take Fields unstacked and hope that we get in week 15 or week 16 a game in which he runs for 90 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Oh, for sure. No, we get very lucky to have Fields fall to us. Like if Fields didn't fall to us, our turn would have been like Javonte and Jack Besh, which would have felt much worse. Especially, I mean, we are already very solid at running back with Taylor, Hampton, and Montgomery, right? So it's going to be a 5 RB build, and I prefer not to take our running backs next few rounds. The issue like that I have is, again, I think Loveland and Tyler Warren are like taking Loveland or Tyler Warren over Jack Besh is something I think you have to do. Like I think Loveland and Warren are just so much better picks here than the wide receivers. But us taking Kelsey at 98 puts us in a situation in which we can't take advantage of that. But we go back to pick 98. And again, if we want to revisit it, what's the alternative? The wide receivers there are also disgusting. So maybe the alternative is we pass on Hampton and we go like Jamison Williams, DK Metcalf at the 4-5 turn. So instead, that Kelsey pick turns into Scadaboo and that Jack Besh pick turns into Loveland. One thing we could have done as well is instead of going Pittman, Kelsey, we could have gone like Pittman, Caleb, and then we could have taken Loveland at the, I'm sorry, not Pittman, Caleb. We could have gone like Burden, Caleb, and then taken Loveland there at the 10-11 turn. That could have been an option as well. I don't know. No matter how you cut it, I don't like what we did. And pulling this back around. Again, we are not taking a tight end. We are just, and if like a David Njoku falls to us, I'd have lost my mind. We are just quarterback, running back, and receiver. The big Q goes 138, which, yeah, typically it's going to be hard for me to get the big Q in drafts with y'all. Michael Penix goes 139. Interesting that team doesn't have any Falcons. Benson goes 140, a player that I have drafted a ridiculous amount of. I think we're going to get McCarthy. The only team we have to dodge left is Mr. Padilla, and he has no Vikings. So I think we're going to be able to get McCarthy, pair him up with Jefferson, which feels great. And then on the way back around, we're probably going to go ahead and take a running back, whichever one falls. So let's take McCarthy as our second quarterback. We get the stack with Jefferson. Wide range of outcomes with McCarthy. Could be a bum, but could be great. We don't know. It's kind of the profile that we're looking for. I would have preferred Rachaad White myself, coming back to us at 146. But instead, we will just probably take Ray Davis. Let me confirm that, the next quarterback we're going to take is Geno, right? And we don't necessarily need to take Geno until the 14-15 turn. And if we whiff on Geno, we could also go Anthony Richardson. So we have a couple quarterback options later on. So overall, it's a tough draft, but I feel like we have an okay team. Definitely made mistakes, but I think this team's live. Like, we have at wide receiver, Jefferson, Metcalf, Jacoby, Pittman, Jack Besh. Running back, we have Taylor, Hampton, Montgomery. We go with the bully tight end with McBride and Kelsey. Quarterback, we have Fields, McCarthy. We have an unstacked Fields, McCarthy paired up with Jefferson. Let's check out Michael's team here. He goes Puka, A.J. Brown, Tyreek out the gate, then gets Jalen Hurts for the A.J. Brown stack. Love the Mixon and Henderson values, then Diggs. Jordan Mason, Jonnu, Drake made a pair up with Diggs. I'm not a big Mims fan. I love your team, but I just don't think you can. And I know the ADP says otherwise, but for me, I don't think you can justify Marvin Mims instead of Tyler Warren. Like a wide receiver a wide receiver with really limited draft capital that in his second season played 27% of the snaps versus a tight end that was just a borderline top 10 NFL pick. Like, I don't think you can justify Mims over Tyler Warren. But outside of that, I like the draft. Okay, Dobbs goes 155. Eckler, Braylon Allen, both off the board. Two Shot says he got big Q, though, so that's $2 million right there. That is true. That is true. So let's move this over and see what we can do. So we got sniped on Geno. Who took Geno? Mr. Padilla takes Geno right after us with no Raider stacks. Okay. So what are our other options at quarterback? Again, we mentioned Richardson because we have Pittman. We also have Taylor. I don't necessarily think that matters so much. We cannot go tight end still. We're not going to be able to go tight end through the rest of this draft. We can only take one more running back. Vinny has Purdy and Goff, so he could go with the third QB if he wanted. Like, if I was him, I'd be like, I don't know if I want one. Maybe I do. So for that reason, I think we probably just take Mr. Padilla. What are you? Oh my gosh. Right through the heart he stabs me. Now what am I supposed to do? Sorry, we're caught flat-footed here. Hook'em Horns will go Roshan Johnson, and as I think. Do we have any last-minute options? We don't. Do we just take Stafford and grab Jordan Whittington in the last round? Go Cam Ward and then take Tyler Lockett and the rookie receiver there? I think that's probably what we do. We're going to go Cam Ward because we have some stacking options late. And we'll figure it out. Team would have been much better if we would have ended up getting either Richardson or Geno to make it to us at 170, which if you look at ADP, 167, which if you look at ADP, typically it does happen. Okay. I know. Mr. Padilla says he doesn't like the other quarterbacks. So we have Mason Taylor 175, which obviously Taylor is a kind of last resort option for Justin Fields stacks, but we already have McBride as well as Kelsey. So that just simply wasn't open for us. God, I'm so hungry. Y'all can't even imagine. Let's pull this over. God, I don't like our team. After we whiff on those quarterbacks, team's not great. Unless maybe we get surprised with the receivers in Tennessee. But now at wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Metcalf, Myers, Pittman, Jack Besh. Quarterback, we have an unstacked Fields. We have McCarthy paired up with Jefferson. We have Cam Ward unstacked so far. We're going to get a couple Titans receivers late. Bully tied in with McBride, Kelsey. And then running back, we have Taylor, Hampton, Montgomery, Ray Davis, and Roschon Johnson. So let's go ahead and let's move this back. And we are just going to take 3 more wide receivers. Wide receiver is the only thing we're drafting through the rest of this. J.K. Dobbins goes 187. I've taken a decent amount of Dobbins. Do you really hope he just ends up going to Dallas? Because like I said, I think I'm in general underweight the combination of Javonte and Jaden Blue. Which, if Dallas doesn't bring in another running back, unless maybe Miles Sanders has a real role, seems like those running backs may just be set up to crush. Connor says, how do you feel about drafting multiple players with the same bye week? I don't care at all. In your regular redraft league, you're going to make so many trades by the time you get to that bye week. Or not trades, but waiver wire pickups. You're going to make so many moves that your team's going to be very different. And here in these underdog drafts, we're optimizing for weeks 15 through 17 anyway. And there are no bye weeks in weeks 15 through 17. So we're just going to take the 2 Tennessee Titans here at the turn. We're going to take Tyler Lockett at 191 to pair up with Cam Ward, which I haven't drafted a lot of Tyler Lockett or Alec Manor. I don't think he was a great prospect. And obviously Lockett looks done and dusted. But if we're taking Cam Ward and we already have an unstacked Fields as well, I would prefer to have some Titan stacks. I know Marvin Mims was a second-round pick, but again, when we're comparing him to somebody like Tyler Warren or Loveland, the draft capital of a late second-round NFL pick in comparison to a borderline top 10 NFL pick is just wildly different. So we take the 2 Titans receivers to cap off this draft. I definitely liked the last draft more than this one. This one was awkward, but like I said, figured that was going to be the case based off who we had to draft next to. But I am starving. I'm going to call this stream here. I'm sorry we're not able to get that $500 draft going for everybody. I did leave that $500 draft just to make sure everybody knows. If you're still sitting in that lobby hoping that it fills, I will not be in it. But again, I will be live streaming tomorrow night, the night after, the night after, the night after. Actually, this week may be a little bit weird because obviously, if you can't tell, I'm in an Airbnb getting ready for the race. Definitely will not be live streaming on Friday. That'll be the only day that I can guarantee I'm not. But I would really hope to draft with you any other day. So, of course, if you want to, scan the QR code, hop on Underdog. These are best ball drafts. Done this every day for years. Not going to replace your main fantasy football league. Just some extra fun on the side. If you use promo code FLOCK, you'll get that 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you'll be getting our 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheet for free. But I really appreciate all of y'all hanging out with me. And yeah, hopefully one of those teams I drafted ends up winning us $2 million.